and welcome to the YDT Summit. Today we're here with the wonderful Gianluca. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. And you?
Good, thank you.
Nice to be
So,
here.
sorry?
Nice to be here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so for anyone that hasn't come across you much, do you mind giving a bit of background where you've been sort of dancing from, dancing up to now?
Yeah. So I started dancing. Well, my mum says at age 3. I'm not sure what that meant, but I started actually ballroom at age 6, and then slowly I made my way into dance. I started in a private school, training at age 14 with first jazz, and then went into contemporary and soon after ballet. I trained at the National Academy in Rome, in Italy, and at La Biennale in Venice.
Mm.
After that, I went to Trinity London to do transition dance companies. I stayed there for an apprenticeship, for an apprentices to do to learn how to teach and assist some of the teachers. Danced for a while, actually a short while somehow. While I was doing transition, I realized that I was really interested in the behind the scenes and the role as a rehearsal director or assistant. And before I knew it, I was in Iceland, and I started to assist the national company, Iceland Dance Company. I was there for about nearly 6 years. Um, Moved back to England to take on the artist director position for Verve,
Mm.
and and then I founded Mobius Dance in 2016. So that's been kind of my career, my journey
Yeah,
until now.
nice. Was there something that sort of happened within Verve that motivated you to start Mobius?
Um, yes, but I think it was a seed that was planted probably a bit sooner.
Yeah.
I think it was, um, by being at the national company in Iceland, um, I, I kind of started to understand that I wanted to go back to education to help students
Hmm.
gain jobs,
Yeah.
sooner, and also to offer my skills and my understanding of what a contemporary dance scene and a repertoire company,
Hmm.
how it worked and what was the insight. And then as I was working with Verve, I started to realize that within the sector, we had created this gap of
Yeah.
a minimum of 3 years professional experience before recent graduates can apply for major companies. Um, so that was really what clicked for me, uh, and I thought, okay, I think there is something here that maybe we should explore. And uh, and that was the starting point in terms of how do we do it and who do we, who's going to buy
Yeah.
into this.
And obviously, you started it completely from the ground up. So, what were some of the biggest struggles that you were facing like, straight off the bat?
Um, well, I mean, it's obviously first of all is the barrier of money
Yeah.
and trying to get money in to be able to to establish a company, which in a way because of my role within NSCD, I knew a bit the funding system already with
Hmm.
Art Council England, but um, as probably people already know, the remit and the points, keeps changing. So you need to still be updated with it and be able to craft your idea towards their what they are their outcomes in a way.
Hmm.
Um, so I think the first thing was that I thought, okay, money, we need to get money, and also have a series of partners that
Hmm.
would understand that this was an important project and be able to think, yes, I want to buy into this. I want to help, the next generation. And that sometimes is difficult, not because they don't want to, but because other institutions or organizations already do so many other things that it's the combination of, finding the right moment as well.
Nice. And obviously you're working with a bunch of different choreographers, and within Varve, you sort of bring choreographers in every year to work with the cast. What's the process of networking like?
In terms of like choosing choreographers, or
choosing choreographers, and then sort of the general outreach that you do.
Well, I think for me it varies. In a way, within these roles, you do have people contacting, you to say, I'm available, as a teacher, as a choreographer, so somehow we have a nice flow of people also reaching in, towards us, which is always very helpful, because also that means that people are interested, in what we do and what we can offer. My approach has been different in a way that I sometimes commission straight away people because I know them, I've worked with them before, or I know of them, through colleagues, and sometimes I call out, and then based on that we go through a selection process with a panel, which we highlight also, well, what who is this person, what is their idea, how are they going to work, with us, and how can we help them. Depends also on their career path and where they are, at that specific moment. And that's always followed up, with a lot of chats, because it's always good, for me personally, to have one-to-one time. So you start to sense someone's energy and the way that they use their language. And I mean, I obviously now it's very, very difficult, but I tend to go and see a lot of shows, and being in networks within the UK and abroad, which also helps facilitating, the curation of the work. And that's really interesting to me as well, as I co-curate a festival in Spain, Figueres Esmo, and it's an outdoors festival, but it's so great to see also, how sometimes talking to these artists, how they quickly can adapt to indoors, or so it's a nice way to actually bring across of art forms as well.
Nice. For sort of freelancers that are just starting out, do you have any advice for sort of starting to build up a network, if that makes sense? Sort of just how to start navigating.
I'd say your friends and the people that you train with are your network, and they will become your network, as well. And I think it's don't hesitate to be in touch and to write to choreographers or to companies. Obviously, be aware of what the situation is right now. Be aware that if you don't get a reply straight away, there might be other priorities at the moment for them. So it's testing the waters and also understanding, how much space you leave, before you contact them again. Definitely do research, so that you know who you're writing to, and attending attending events in terms of performances, or sometimes webinars, and not now with Zoom and stuff. It's a way to get to know people and for people to get to know you. It's nice to sometimes, I see them in Zoom room with
Yeah.
20 people, and all of that. So, oh, I never seen that person, and then because their name is there, then you start doing a little research, are they
Yeah.
lead or not, and stuff. So it's always really interesting, and stay curious. That's what comes out from that. I'm curious, therefore, I do that. But also for you guys, I think it would be very, very important. Networking it's really strange. It seems
Yeah.
that if you don't network, you can't do it.
Mm.
And I don't believe that necessarily. Because it has to be the right match as
Mm-hmm.
well. And that is yeah, that's sometimes it's pure luck as
Yeah.
well. We all need a little bit of that in our life. Um,
Definitely.
yeah, and at the moment with social media also, th- there is a whole new way of networking.
Yeah.
Where by scrolling on my Instagram, then I see dancers and that I know of, but the
Yeah.
perhaps I in the school I know them, but I never really met one. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, okay, So also being aware of perhaps what you put out there,
Mm-hmm.
and that can facilitate in it, or not network.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Shifting gears a little bit.
Yes.
Um, there is obviously a lot of auditions going on at the moment, primarily through the internet. So, do you have advice for people that are auditioning, sort of at any level, that can help sort of bring through a bit of a personal spark, even though it's through the barrier of the screen?
Um, it's interesting because with Mobius Dance, we've just gone through
Mm-hmm.
an audition process for apprenticeships,
Yeah.
and I mean the important thing to me for this specific one, it was that I went to the studio to first see people
Mm-hmm.
live, and that kind of already makes it slightly different.
Yeah.
But when we hosted the audition, the recall in a way on Zoom, um, I personally, I said straight away, this is the first time for us. So that also highlights that not everyone has done it
Yeah.
yet, and that we are all in the process of learning. So I think that is already like something that can kind of ground a little bit everyone attending.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there is a there is a positive thing and a negative thing in my learning for being on the screen
Yeah.
is that yes, you have a bit of a less sense of the energy, that might be, and I'm not saying the energy necessarily in the dancing in terms of
Yeah.
the dynamics, but the human energy, that sometimes it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
doesn't quite come across. But by everyone being in their own space, also there is a chance for us as directors to also really take the time to look at everyone. Whereas when you're in a room, sometimes it becomes a bit overwhelming also.
Yeah.
Um, Depending on the rooms that one is in. So I'd say that if you're auditioning online, yeah, remember that this is new for everyone, and therefore it's okay. Also, there is something about um, confidence and validation, which I want to say. Please remember, you are at the audition, therefore you have, the the capability and the knowledge to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Equally, if you don't get invited straight away, is because the choreographer or the director is already considering so much
Mm-hmm.
that at that specific moment it might not be the right thing. Yeah. I think one of the things is, as much as possible, if you can, have a clear room.
Yeah.
Just because I've noticed that, also sometimes I got actually concerned that people may hit things on the side,
Mm-hmm.
and that's because I have a very different perspective,
Yeah.
from people there. But I think, in that case, you also help us in
Mm-hmm.
being a little bit more at ease.
Yeah.
And this is personal, but
Yeah. Yeah.
trying to think back, um, and um, yeah, and I think just, bring what you would normally bring to any kind of other audition.
Yeah.
It's a strange moment. Hopefully, we'll pass it soon. Um, but I also admire that, um, the the sector is trying to move forward instead of just waiting for a miracle, or for everything to disappear.
Yeah.
And remember, you have done a full year of training and perhaps a little bit more through this. Therefore, you know what it is.
Yeah.
Like you are doing classes, you're doing choreography. It's there. So I think that's actually a very, powerful thing to have.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Definitely. I was just looking at my background. This would definitely not do well for an audition.
No, no, it's fine. Like for me, we're in my living room, and it's great.
Yeah.
It's also nice to be welcome into people's, places in a way. It makes it more human
Yeah.
somehow, because I think, as dancers, everyone feels that we are superhumans. Which we are, but
Yeah.
it makes it real. But it's just making sure that, I think it's a safe place that,
Yeah.
because, at the end of it, it's health as well.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Thank you very much for coming on today. You shared some very insightful things.
Thank you for having me. So reach out anytime.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. See everyone
Thank
in the
you.
next summit.
Bye.